Alright, you crawling bastards, here is a review for Darkest Dungeon 2. After beating the game, it is time for final judgment. I love Darkest Dungeon 1 and have spent many hours with it, but never really went that deep like in this one. To answer your burning question immediately, which would be, is it better than the first? I can safely answer no. Is it worse? Also no. People got used to the first one and how it is structured, but second one is quite similar. It is essentially as if they have put camera behind the team instead of a bird's view, with more control given to the player by using Stagecoach. To me, it is a really good idea that retains the essence of Darkest Dungeon while also giving us more atmospheric insight into areas that are being traversed. Now to go over a very obvious thing, which is that this game is, when it comes to presentation, 10 out of 10. Graphics, art style, amazingly improved animations, enemy models, hero models, bosses, sound effects, music, one of the best narrators in video gaming history, atmosphere. Not even gonna try to put into words such a masterpiece because you need to experience it on your own. Rarely have I experienced a game where everything fits so bloody well. Let's now go over how Darkest Dungeon 2 is structured compared to the first game. First one had Hamlet, this one has Altar of Hope, which is similar in a lot of ways but not the same. No more weapons and armor upgrades. Runs are longer, but there are no more permanent hero losses. Instead, heroes receive permanent upgrades through Altar of Hope and temporary ones during runs through Mastery, that is used to upgrade abilities. Masteries are randomly earned by fighting. One of the things I'm not happy about is how mastery gains are handled. I really don't like for such a valuable thing to be left at the mercy of RNG. Altar of Hope is upgraded with candles that are obtained after every run. More successful the run is, more candles are collected. Each hero also gets specific goals, like small quests that can be completed for candles by doing specific things. After Altar of Hope, chapters are chosen. Each chapter has unique boss at the end, and after beating all 5 chapters, story is completed. Story of Darkest Dungeon 2 is about the world that has already ended, but some are trying to still restore hope. To me it seems this isn't even happening in reality, but as if we are facing our own demons and through the despair and challenge trying to conquer them one by one. All of this would lead eventually to betterment of oneself and the world around us. At least that is how I understand it, especially considering how chapters are named. First you have to conquer denial to even be able to understand that you are resenting someone or something. By conquering resentment we can tackle why we are obsessed with someone or something enough to even resent. By finding why obsession exists, ambition or drive to get to the goal we obsess about can be stifled because ambition can be a negative thing depending on the goal and the road to get to it. Lastly, when ambition is conquered, we are left with cowardice to recognize and face ourselves. All of this is told through a university story where a professor got backstabbed by his colleague during important research, which dealt enough damage to the affected professor for him to go to a journey of redemption to save himself and the world around him. Now, is it just a revenge, or conquering your own demons to let go, or both? Every region tells a different background story. For example, Sprawl showcases human failure through a vivid picture of burning cities and villages after cultists have attacked. Cultists are antagonists, by the way. Tangle was a line of defense before the city, where General and his army tried to fight cultists but ended up being turned into zombies. Lore and story are good enough, but depends how you interpret it. Heroes now have their own stories told through hero shrines. Very cool concept that adds so much more to these fantastic characters by telling usually sad but quite real stories on how they ended up there. Much easier to connect with heroes in Darkest Dungeon 2 thanks to shrines. Every hero has 5 chapters and each chapter permanently unlocks new abilities that add a lot more diversity and roles they can fulfill. Also there are mechanic-based fights, sometimes confusing, that describe past events in the form of very interesting encounters that showcase how their mind works and what they had to deal with. I love it, very original idea. Now to talk about the gameplay. Combat is pretty much the same with a new feature, that is relationships. Quirks, traits, potentially every action type in combat, road chatter, encounters, everything affects relations with other characters. By reaching positive status, abilities are improved to benefit the duo that just got their relations to a new level. If relations go to negative, then abilities get negative effects that apply to the duo and can have severe impacts for the rest of the run. I don't really like this whole relationship feature as it takes away from Darkest Dungeon experience more than it adds. What I mean by it is that for every run my first priority is to get relationship under control, and whole runs are catered towards it. So whole budget goes towards that goal. In items that would give nice buffs, bombs, contraptions, healing stuff, all goes to the back because I have a wagon full of drunkards wanting their whiskey to keep liking each other better. Encounters on the road are all dependent on current status of relationships and who is gonna benefit or handicap. Sometimes I would love to fight to get a chance for additional mastery point, but have to leave because critical pair would hate each other more. Other times I would love to leave because everyone is hurt and stressed out, so ignoring a fight would be smart, but the option to leave comes with the consequence of -2 to relations between 3 characters. Instead of taking a back seat and be an added feature that would make the game deeper and better, relationships have taken in-your-face seat. A lot of illogical things happen during fights that can affect it without having anything to do with quirks. Healing a party member can sometimes lead to disapproval of a third party member. Same thing with stress, sometimes I miss an attack and then party gets stress relief. Makes no sense. I understand it is not easy to create such web of things to work exactly right, but at times it seems buggy and unfinished. Or just too much RNG is involved, which is never a good thing. There needs to be some logic behind it. For example, I like that upon using consumables and buffing abilities, relations might improve between the two. That completely makes sense. To be honest, I would love a mod that completely removes relationships, as it would give us more freedom gameplay-wise. Combat is pretty much the same as in the first game. Deep, very tactical, engaging, and now with amazing animations and effects. Fantastic turn-based combat that is infuriating and exhilarating at the same time. With 4 heroes there are so many tactics to create, while combining who is at the front and who is at the back, what roles are they gonna focus on, what rotation is being applied with each hero, also having a couple paths that are like subclasses to choose from. Each region is also specific regarding enemy types with unique lair bosses. Not every setup works for all situations, quite the opposite, careful planning is mandatory. Always loved the deep tactical system of Darkest Dungeon and glad they haven't changed it. It is a very challenging game where a couple wrong rolls can decide the whole run. Your job is to offset the negative as much as possible. Easier said than done. Around half of all encounters will test your party depending on the composition and preparedness. I love that the game takes you to the brink of desperation so often, but also think that it needs a lot more balancing. It is still so satisfying to succeed just for the personal satisfaction, but also so disheartening to wipe. Bosses are fantastic, mechanics are incredible, even though some are copied from the first game. Not gonna spoil many bosses in this video, but each one has unique mechanics that need to be dealt with. You really have to think what to bring and how to approach the situation. Screw up a fight and you'll be walking to the inn afterwards with couple heroes dead. Well, you won't make it due to nasty cultist fights right before the inn, but there is always a chance to succeed. Talking about cultists, time to say a few negative things. Enemies cheating the rules. Exemplar being one of major examples of a frustrating cheating scumbag of a fight. To me, there is nothing worse than enemies being given more than one action per turn in a turn-based game. It is a very cheap difficulty design that occurs often in Darkest Dungeon 2. A lot of enemies can do 2 actions per turn, which can lead to extremely frustrating encounters, especially in a not so well balanced game like this one. Of course, it is difficult to balance a game that is built from ground up around RNG, but there are ways. I'm sure balancing is going to be better over time. Buffs and debuffs also occur way too often and can stack. One skill can put 2 to 3 buffs or debuffs at the same time. It is all over the place, a complete chaos. To me, it ends up being a nuisance that cannot be controlled. Enemies, especially cultists, can do with one attack 2 to 3 stress damage, normal damage and damage over time or a debuff. In my opinion, it would be better if there were more specialized abilities that aren't a Swiss knife type that does a bunch of different things. That would make buffs and debuffs more controllable and more significant once applied. Seeing enemies and us with 5 icons beneath their name is ridiculous. Game also feels quite unrewarding to play aside from personal satisfaction. Most of the time as a reward for fighting you might or might not get something like Mastery or Trinket. That is a big might when it comes to Mastery. Trinkets not so much. Majority of trinkets come with significant negatives and are not even worth having in the inventory. So what options do we have with these trinkets? None. Equip or discard. Can't even sell what was supposed to be a reward for something successful, but unusable in a current run. It just ends up taking space instead. Sell option is mandatory and I can't believe they have not included it. There are quite a few logical things in the game that take away from the fun and challenge, but it can all be sorted. Thankfully this game is great for modding, so you can modify the game to cater to your preference, which is a big deal. For myself, I would remove relationships and add sell options for trinkets immediately. Time for verdict. Darkest Dungeon 2 is quite similar to the first one, even though it might seem like a very different experience at first. I think they have done a good job in creating different but very similar sequel. It needs more polish regarding overall balancing, relationships and couple stuff changed or added, and it would be amazing in that case. Played the game on PC, so score on that platform is 7 out of 10, which translates to a good game. However, I'm giving it huge potential at 9, as I think it can easily reach it, especially upon using mods to customize the experience to your liking. Anyway, that is all.